Welcome to Daytona International Speedway, the start of a brand new season for the NASCAR Verizon Cup Series. 38 of the world's best stock car drivers line up on the grid, ready to take on this Daytona 500. Let's take a look at some of your drivers to watch for. Chase Elliott, he won his duel. Nonetheless, he's on the pole for the Daytona 500 for the second year in a row, next to Denny Hamlin. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won Duel 2, and Duel 1 runner-up Brad Keselowski right alongside him. Clint Bowyer, he's in a new ride for this season, replacing the legendary Tony Stewart in that number 14. Clint Bowyer will roll off at the front of the pack. And then Jimmy Johnson won this race last season with a last lap pass in turn 4 to win the Daytona 500. Can he do it again? Two new rookies competing for Rookie of the Year, Daniel Suarez and Eric Jones. Both did okay in their duels, but this 500 is a chance to prove himself. Greg Biffle, his final Daytona 500, rolling off in the 20th position. Now we send it trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Welcome your Grand Marshal from the upcoming Disney Pixar film Cars 3, opening in theaters this June, the voice of Lightning McQueen, Owen Wilson. Drivers, start your engines!
And as the cars begin to roll off a pit road, we'll take a look at your Daytona 500 starting lineup. On the pole, Chase Elliott, youngster out of Dawsonville, Georgia, next to Denny Hamlin. Row 2, Brad Keselowski, and Duel 2 winner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Row 3, Kevin Harvick, the California native, next to the Las Vegas native, Kyle Busch. Joey Logano nearly won this race a year ago, next to Casey Kane, underdog pick for the 500. Clint Bowyer now with Stuart Haas Racing, next to Ryan Blaney for the Wood Brothers. Row 6, the Rocket Man Ryan Newman, next to Landon Castle. Row 7, it's Michael McDowell next to Kyle Larson, trying to get redemption for last year. Row 8, Austin Dillon next to Eric Almirola. Row 9, two veterans, Matt Kenseth, and in his final Daytona 500, Greg Biffle. Row 10, Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex Jr., two veterans of this race. And in row 11, Jamie McMurray next to new rookie, Ty Dillon. Row 12, two favorites for Rookie of the Year, Daniel Suarez for Joe Gibbs next to Eric Jones for Furniture Row. And in row 13, Kurt Busch and Paul Menard. Row 14, two dark horse picks, Chris Buescher and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And in row 15, Danica Patrick and David Reagan. Row 16, Trevor Bayne in the Dinger, A.J. Allmendinger. And in row 17, we have Matt DiBenedetto next to Greg Gaulding. Row 18, Michael Waltrip and Corey LaJoie. And rounding out the field in row 19, Elliott Sadler and Joey Gase. Take a look at our Lowe's race facts. 200 laps, 500 miles. The new iteration of stage racing. Stage 1, 60 laps. Stage 2, 60 laps. And Stage 3, 80 laps. There are the cars coming through turn 4, getting ready to start this year's Daytona 500. Green flag in the air, underway in the Great American Race. Through turn 3 and turn 4, Denny Hamlin with a slight nose over Chase Elliott. And the first lap of this year's Daytona 500 goes to Denny Hamlin in Toyota. All those foreigns lined on the inside line. We'll see what they can do to get. See, these 5 Chevys come off of pit road playing strategy. See the cars come through 3 and 4. Spinner! Daniel Suarez! And he spins to the entrance of pit road, and the caution comes out on lap 21. Just take a look at what happened. He's riding back in the pack in this looks like this got loose and spun around. Very warm here in Daytona, so the track temperature very high, and that just sucked the 19 right around. And thank goodness he didn't go back up in front of the field and caused the big one. So he'll be able to continue, and the leaders are going to pit here so that they can get to the end of the stage. But those 5 Chevys that came down pit road are going to stay out and have great track position. One lap to go in stage 1 here in Daytona. Elliott trying to lead that outside line with teammate Casey Kane. Austin Dillon trying to rally troops on the inside. Right on board with Joey Logano, who's pushing Brad Keselowski. Off of turn 2, Logano moves up to the outside to cover Chase Elliott. Ryan Blaney falling back in the middle. Dillon trying to charge her on. Elliott inside, back outside. Austin Dillon up to the middle. Now what will Logano do to get around the 2 car, or will he push his teammate to the stage 1 victory? Slow car on the inside, that's 25 of Joey Gase. But off of turn 4, will Logano make his move? What will Austin Dillon do to get a stage win? Back to the green and white checkered flag. Keselowski wins stage 1. Logano, Elliott, Austin Dillon, and Ryan Blaney, your top 5. Top 10 get points, and that stage winner gets a valuable playoff point. See Keselowski, Logano, Elliott, Dillon, Blaney, Kane, McDowell, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Newman, your top 10 after stage 1. As you see the last of that group come off of pit road. Now the Toyotas are on pit road, led by Matt Kenseth. Oh, trouble! Larson around, into McMurray. Big crash, 1 car through the grass. It's David Reagan, and the caution will come out coming to lap 94. Jamie McMurray, big hit in the outside wall. Such an aggressive restrictor plate racer. Larson, Bain, Allmendinger, Austin Dillon all involved in this. And David Reagan will be able to drive away. We're under the red flag here in Daytona. Casey Kane was your leader. Let's take a look at what happened. A Toyota is coming to pit road. And Kyle Larson, see what happened. Oh, just Trevor Bayne with a huge run. And look at Jimmy Johnson just avoiding that. And, man, Jimmy McMurray had nowhere to go. And, man, look at the 2 hits that Larson and McMurray take. Both hard hits into the wall. And David Reagan transcend from the banking of the trial to the apron. That spun that car out. while the big one in Daytona collects Larson, McMurray, and Austin Dillon. One lap to go in stage 2. Harvick, big run on the outside with the help of Logano, and he might be able to grab the lead as they tuck down in the middle line to get a good side draft. Blaney in front. Now Harvick's going to get a nice run off turn number 2, and now he will have the lead by a nose. Down the back straightaway, pushing and shoving as they go down the back. 2 Fords battling for the stage win. Harvick's got a nose. Blaney's going to have a run in a 3. Oh, trouble! Stenhouse around in the back straightaway as you see him sliding through the grass. Meanwhile, off turn 4, Harvick clear Ryan Blaney. Will Blaney make his move? Back to the green and white checker. Kevin Harvick wins stage 2. What a finish. As you see Harvick, Blaney, Logano, Keselowski, McDowell, Kenseth, Dale Jr., Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones, and Jimmy Johnson, your top 10 after stage 2. Junior cleared, McDowell pushing. Oh no! Eric Jones and the big one in turn 3. Many cars involved, and the caution with 64 laps to go. The big one in turn 3 collects many cars in this one. There's Jones, Suarez, Blaney, Kane, Newman, Truex, Hamlin. Just take a look what happened. Eric Jones being pushed by Casey Kane, and Kane looks like this guy into the left rear, and man, Eric Jones became a ping pong ball, and there's just nowhere for anyone to go. You see everyone just running into each other. Blaney and Keselowski in this race. Those were the 2 best cars to watch for, and both of them involved. Here it is real time, and man, look at the gap Greg Biffle had as he avoided that wreck. Ty Dillon getting repairs on pit road. He was involved in this one. Kurt Busch took a slide to the grass. He's on pit road repairing the right front. Both Penske cars, heavy damage for Keselowski. It's just some right front damage for Logano. Keselowski will go a lap down. Hopefully he'll still be in this thing to win the Daytona 500. Chase Elliott will also go a lap down. Heavy damage to that 24. So left front and the right front got damage. Cars involved, and there were 13 great contenders in this wreck. We'll be right back when things are cleaned up. Junior right now consistently pushing Kevin Harvick. We'll see if he wants to get with his teammate, Jimmy Johnson, who won this thing last year. Dan Johnson's around. He's going to get spun right back in front of the field, collecting Eric Almirola, Matt Kenseth. Danica Patrick goes through a spin. And the caution is out again. And man, we've got a crash fest in this year's Daytona 500. Eric Almirola, Matt Kenseth, Clint Bowyer, and Danica Patrick littered on the back straightaway. Greg Biffle, final Daytona 500. He'll go to the garage for Jimmy Johnson. And we are under the red flag for the second time. There's barely any cars left in this race. We got less than half the field. So it looks like just Chris Buescher got a run, and he bumped the right end of Jimmy Johnson's car, and that got him loose, and Johnson spun. And look at this. He just spun right back in front of the field, and Eric Almirola had nowhere to go. And once he made contact, he spun right in front. Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle, Danica Patrick got damage. Looks like David Reagan and Ricky Stenhouse as well. As we've seen a lot of issues with pushing the speed weeks, and here's another example. Chris Buescher just got there, and man, the last remaining good cars in this race were taken out. Johnson, Kenseth, Almirola was starting to make his way up to the front. And man, Greg Biffle, his luck ran out here on this wreck. As Kyle Busch nearly got through that wreck as well. So here are the cars involved. Patrick, Bowyer, Biffle, Stenhouse, Kenseth, Buescher, Reagan, Almirola, Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. But most of those names will be able to continue. Junior will be able to continue. He didn't pit for damage. Reagan and Stenhouse did. Welcome back to Daytona. Joey Gase. Engine expires here with 36 laps to go. Take a look what happened. Just going down the back straightaway slow, and just the engine let loose. And he'll go to the garage, and that will be the end of his Daytona 500. One lap to go in the Great American Race. Who's gonna win it? Chris Buescher. Can he get up to the front with the help of Joey Logano, who's already pushed 2 stage winners to a win? How about today? McDowell pushing Harvick. Chris Buescher looking for a run. Down the back straightaway. Here comes the run off turn 2. Buescher's going to get alongside with Harvick. Chris Buescher and the 37 came on board this year, right alongside with Kevin Harvick. As we ride on board with Harvick, can he get this lead away? There was a huge crash in turn 3 last season. They get through clean. Round turn 4, back to the checkered flag. Chris Buescher in the 37, now with JTG Doherty Racing, being pushed by Logano. Chris Buescher wins the Daytona 500. Oh my goodness, what an upset story. The Texas native burns it down here in Daytona. As he is your Daytona 500 champion, take a look at your results. Chris Buescher, man, what a win for him. Harvick and Joey Logano pushes another winner to a Daytona 500. Look at that, Michael McDowell, that 6 car who was batted up on that big wreck with 64 to go. He somehow managed to finish 6th in this race. Look at some of the underdog names. Matt DiBenedetto finishing 11th. What a job by that 32. Elliott Sadler getting up there in 13th. Ty Dillon with the top 15. As this was just simply a race of survival, and that's really going to inflict the point standings going into next week. As from here on back, here's everyone that DNF'd. See, Biffle, Johnson. But remember, you get points for leading laps. So 1 lap equals 1 point. So Kevin Harvick will get 62 points since he led 62 laps in this race. Here's the last page. They all DNF'd as well. Our graphic doesn't say they did, but they did. So they will barely get any points. But remember, Denny Hamlin led laps, got some stage points, so he'll be farther up in the point standings. And speaking of point standings, here are the point standings. Chris Buescher, he's locked in due to his win. Look at that, Kevin Harvick, 107 points just off this one race. So he'll have a ton of points going into Atlanta, and that will be huge towards his playoff standings. And him and Keselowski won stages, so they get 1 playoff point. That's a little 1 next to their points. And here's everybody else who just were involved in wrecks and did not get very many stage points. See, like Martin Truex only got 8 points from today. Kyle Larson only with 4. Trevor Bayne and AJ Allmendinger round out the point standings. So they'll have to climb going into next race, the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500, coming this March. We'll see you there. I'm Nathan Holland. Congratulations to Chris Buescher, your new Daytona 500 champion. And we say so long from Daytona International Speedway.